Hello guys, welcome back to ESENtaxa. We are in live again today. Today we are going to talk about this Inpatriate eligibility test that we have turned into web course, online course. You will see the description below this live. Basically, we provide now this online course that allows you to understand if you're eligible or not for the Inpatriate regime. It allows you to spare all the fine, legal interest, and all the issues that are related when you get an audit and you're not able to provide all the documentation back to the Italian tax agency. And basically, this online course it's a way to be bulletproofed against these checks and audits. So you want to benefit from the huge, wonderful Inpatriate regime, especially if you move in the south of Italy, but then you have the problem of respecting all the strict requirements through all the laws and tax clarifications. And through this online course, we basically tell you exactly step by step how to do it and how to avoid any future eventual problems. Okay. We offer this online course at 97 euro, and this offer it's limited up to the 11th of August. So hurry up before we going to put the original price, because this has an extremely high value. It allows you to spare a huge amount of taxes, a huge amount of money. So hurry up before we raise the price to 197 euro. Okay. So 11th of August will be the last chance to have this course at reduced price, at discounted price. Today, I'm going to talk about two specific real case scenarios. A couple of people, a couple of clients, they basically didn't respect all the requirements. I'm going to explain you and tell you this quick story about those two guys and what happens now to them. And the side effect of not respecting all the requirements and not the eligibility test of the Inpatriate regime. After that, I'm going to reply you. If you have any questions, you can start writing down in the chat, and I will reply you after in the last 5 minutes of this live, as always. First case that we had, it was a client that basically came to us and he applied for the Inpatriate regime in Italy without checking all the tax clarification. Basically, he was hired by a foreign company working from Italy. First of all, he didn't mention that in the contract was explicitly written that he needs to work for Italy, inside the Italian territory for any reasons. And the second thing, he wants us to apply the Inpatriate regime, but he forgot to ask formally to the company the will of apply for the Inpatriate regime. And those two are two mandatory steps when you are an employee. And then he came to us and he was just want to double check that everything was fine. So basically, he was sure that the Inpatriate regime worked for him. But when he came to our consultancy, basically we told him, look, you missed these two important steps, and you're not eligible for the Inpatriate regime unless your company rectify the contract and add, not really rectify the contract, but will add an extra page on the contract in which you will specify why you have to work in Italy. And the second thing, you have to ask formally to your company with a legal mail that you want to apply for this regime. Otherwise, you cannot apply afterwards. Moreover, the company was a foreign one, was not even an Italian one. So the company was not even aware about this tax regime. And this guy has to was just receiving a gross income from abroad, and he should have taxed it in Italy. So he wants to just apply the Inpatriate regime when is the moment of filing the Italian tax file return, which is possible, but you have to respect these two requirements, these two communication that are two steps that I was telling you before. So actually, how we fixed the issue, basically we told him to inform formally your foreign company, and only from that moment you can apply for the Inpatriate regime. So basically, this guy lost 2 years because he came to us when it was already too late, when he already passed 1.5 years. And basically, the Inpatriate regime for him will work only from the 3rd year onwards. So he could consume only 3 years instead of 5, because he basically didn't check the tax clarifications. So he had two options. One, wasting a lot of taxes the previous 2 years, which was the choice that he made, or keep going with this Inpatriate regime wrong and risk to give back everything, plus a huge fine, plus legal interest. When I say a huge fine, I made a video on this. If you don't respect the Inpatriate regime requirements, you're going to have to, you will have to first give back everything. So the difference of what you have spared in terms of taxes, but the fine is 90% of what you have spared in terms of taxes. So it's a huge fine. And 90% is in a good case. In the worst case, you can also pay 180% of what you should have paid in terms of taxes. So it's a huge fine. So basically, you lose all the money that you have earned. So the Inpatriate regime, it's a very huge tax discount, but it comes with a huge risk if you don't respect all the tax clarifications. So we have made on purpose an online course on this. Check the link in the description below this video, please, and you will be fine in the future in case of audit checks. You won't get any problem at all. The second case that I want to talk to you is this guy. Basically, he was a guy that was coming from US, and he was owner of an LLC, a classical case. So you have an LLC, but you could also have an LTD or any foreign company. This doesn't matter. And he was sure to apply the Inpatriate regime because he thought, okay, I'm the administrator of this company. I pay myself a salary, and then the salary is employee income. It's subject to the Inpatriate regime, and I will create a contract with myself, with my own company, and then I apply the Inpatriate regime. Well, unfortunately, he cannot proceed with this schema. So we told him, no, you cannot do it. Stop doing this. Close immediately your company before you have to send a tax file return. You cannot apply the Inpatriate regime. And then after the calculation, we find out that he was paying a lot of taxes in Italy with this LLC. And he was also risking another problem, which is the tax inversion. Because when you are an administrator of a company in Italy, and you are the only owner of this company, and you run a business from Italy, also the foreign company becomes Italian one. So you have to also turn your foreign company into Italian one. If you don't do this, the Italian tax agency will ask you back all the VAT that you spare, the taxes that you spare. It's a completely huge mess. So when you are an administrator of a company, you cannot apply the Inpatriate regime if this company is, if you own 100% of the share of this company. This is specifically written in one of the tax clarification. So small company owned by individuals only, and those individuals are administrator of the company or they are freelancer invoicing to this company, they cannot apply for the Inpatriate regime. Okay, so this has been clearly written in the tax clarification. Okay, so be careful about this point. When you have an LLC abroad, most of the cases, I'm not saying all the cases, so a case-by-case analysis is always mandatory, but in most of the cases, so mostly if you're running an online business, you have to close the company abroad. You open a VAT position in Italy because the Inpatriate regime works as an individual, so as a person that individually run a business. And then basically, you can also add multiple object activities. So you can also run different business, but you do not have to open a company when you apply the Inpatriate regime. Okay, in 99% of the cases. Don't forget, exceptions are always behind the corner. That's the reason why a case-by-case analysis is always mandatory. Right? Okay, I already see some questions. I've just explained these two cases that happens, classical, not really classical cases, but a case that basically are belonging to that kind of people that don't care about the tax clarification. So they don't check the tax clarification. They just read the law on the internet in some website, random websites, and they were sure to apply for the Inpatriate regime because they saw the law, they read the law, and that's it. This is not the case. Whenever we have a regulation, a tax benefit in Italy, the tax agency puts in place always tax clarification. Those tax clarifications comes straight from the Italian tax agency or from inquiries made by taxpayers in case of certain doubts. Okay, so the inquiries goes to the Italian tax agency, the answer of its inquiries will be published, and this becomes part of the tax clarifications. Okay. Okay, let me check these questions that we have in our chat. The first person is asking us, in the case I miss it, can you elaborate on the minimis. I understand that max tax advantages over 3 years can be 200,000 euro. Everything on top is not saving, need to be paid back. What is your view? De minimis, I believe you're talking about the possibility to be founded by the European Union. I mean, not by the European Union, but you can be found in European Union by other institutions, other entities, other persons, up to a certain limit, which is this 200,000 euro in a span of 3 years. So this is the general rule if you have an activity in any European country. If you pass this threshold, you can be also be caught by it will be basically you're going to break the European law, so you're going to have problem with the justice. Moreover, you have to also give back everything. So it's something that has been recommendable not to pass this threshold. It's just as this has been put in place just to avoid unfair concurrency among the European countries. So when you have an activity in Europe, in any European countries, you can be found up to a limit of these 200,000 euros in a span of 3 years. And you can be found under certain forms. There are some activity in which you don't have these limits. It's a long, complex discussion, and we didn't talk about the minimis in this channel because the minimis is just a threshold, European threshold, so it's not specific for Italy. Second question. As I understand, the process is more simple for self-employed. A self-employed person just need to open a VAT position or register at the municipality, right? Yes, exactly. We always said that when, in case of Inpatriate regime, when you want to apply for this tax benefit, a self-employed schema, it's more easier. It has less step to be performed. That's true. Sometimes it's not possible to turn into self-employed. Most of the cases, we have several clients that are employees of companies abroad, and we ask them, can you please negotiate with your client or with your employer if you can be if you can turn yourself into a self-employed in a freelancer, because this is the easiest way to apply for the Inpatriate regime. Of course, there are tax clarification only on that process. We just say that we have less steps to be performed practically, but you're going to have other tax clarifications that needs to be checked. And again, in the description below the video, you will have the link to our eligibility Inpatriate regime test. Up to the 11th of August, we have this offer, 97 euro. And after that, the price will be much bigger. So hurry up before the 11th of August. I have the time just to reply these two general questions. Does the minimus apply for the Inpatriate regime? Well, there is no limits on this, so there is no a conflict on this Inpatriate regime with the minimus, so you can be founded if you have an activity, no problem, as long as you respect this threshold. Because under the Inpatriate regime, you can also be you are an individual. So if the minimis has let's say a constraint that only refers to companies, then you cannot use it. The second questions: can you come to Italy at the end of the year, 1st of October up to 31st of December, with a foreign work contract in a smart working, and then the 1st January open a VAT position? Yes, you can do it. We no problem. Yes. Another questions. I would like to know how much max I can save from my annual income. For example, right now my annual income is 22,000 euro. This is my 5th year in Italy. What do you mean how much you can save? You can save from taxes, or you can save from cost of living. This is not clear to me. You mean the 5th year if you can apply for the Inpatriate regime? Well, no, you have to be sure about the tax classification. If you pass the eligibility test, I don't know. With 22,000 euro, in case you are eligible for the Inpatriate regime, at 22,000 euro is your gross income. Yeah, understood. This is your gross income. Well, if you are in the north of Italy, keep in mind that you will be taxed only on 30% of it, only 30% of 22,000. So you have to just make a quick calculation. And if you're moving in the south of Italy, you will be taxed only at 10% of this 22,000 euro. So basically, you will be taxed at 2,000 euro only. But 2,000 euro only is basically zero. You don't pay any taxes. Okay, we are exactly at 15 minutes. As always, we try to keep every Wednesday alive here in ESENtaxa. You can ask questions here in the chat. And we try to keep this appointment every week. That's me or Fausto. And thank you very much for your attendance here, and see you to the next live. Bye, guys. Have a nice evening.